I remember having this moment where I was like, I'm going to be a freaking billionaire. Like,
everybody else is probably like, what's he really talking about? Unless they've experienced like that big cash influx where you're like, no matter what anybody says, I know this works.
I said, go to every grocery store, take my card, buy everything. Like a toy that is $29.99 on Amazon legitimately might be $46.99 or $49.99 on Walmart because there's not the dummies to for us. That's the year that we had our first 7-figure year. I think we did like 1.3 or 1.2 or something like that.
I think like close to 20 grand, just like minimal.
One of your vlogs, you fired your wife or whatever. So I want to hear a little bit about that.
Were you nervous to have the conversation?
Or I only want you to source this site that nobody else really talks about. You know, in the arbitrage space, people are like, we'll talk about these 12 stores, and then there's like all these other stores. But I mean, $20,000-$30,000 worth of profit, something like that, and you know, it just fell into that. You know, I'm a different man because of that. You know, those failures from my 20s, and you know, and really, I could even share like.
What's the most you've lost on an ace?
Oof, that's rough.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. I have Drew here. We have Cody does Amazon. Cody is definitely an OG. He was one of the very first people to help me. I always remember this. I issued a challenge to my YouTube following. So if I don't spend, I think it was $1,000, I'm going to give someone $1,000. So if I didn't spend $100 or $1,000 on online arbitrage products, I was going to give it out. And he's like, dude, do not give anyone money. And we kind of like hopped on a call, and he showed me how to use Inventory Labs for the first time. And yeah, I ended up off of that first search. I found my first products, was able to spend $1,000. So super grateful for that. Yeah, and I think he started with books a little bit. We've always just been back and forth on Instagram. We've met in person. Cody's just a great guy. He runs a Discord. He has a family. He does so much different stuff. So we're really excited to have him on the pod today.
Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here. I didn't know. It's funny. I don't even think of you as the book guy anymore. Like back then, that's all. I mean, you were just doing a bunch of. Now I think of you as the online arbitrage guy. Like you've like you're doing significant things with that. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I just remember sitting on the top floor of my warehouse doing. I think we did like a Skype. And you were just like walking me through your TA settings, and you're just like, this is, and then I was like, okay, like here it goes. And sure enough, off my third, I totally screwed it up though too, because you were just like start with what you know, and I knew media because I was selling DVDs, so I started the searches with that, and I did like a Walmart search like media, and I was like, oh man, this stuff's so profitable, and I was doing it, and it turns out I was buying all third party. And I got like all the DVDs and like all the covers were different, and I'm like, this is weird. And I was like, I'm sure it's fine. I do not recommend doing this. Luckily, nothing happened, but yeah, that was eye-opening experience.
Yeah. We need to start a software company because I've paid that stupid company. I mean, Unbroken since way back then. That was at my old house. So, I mean, I know that was years ago. I've been paying Tactical Arbitrage hundreds of dollars a month for a long time now. It's like, man, I'm on the wrong bit. I need to figure out how to get that software money.
Do you still use it today? Like Tactical Arbitrage?
I used it this morning. Yeah, I use it every day.
Wow. I'd never hear that. Like from when I only started in 2020, and I'd never hear like anybody use this. It's interesting. You're like, yeah, I use it every single day.
Yeah, I think it's a psyop. I think that I know all the big guys, all the people that are running leads list and those, like, they use it every single day. They're spending not just the basic. They're paying for the full package with extra, scan time. So I think those guys are like, nah, don't. And there's not really any real incentive to affiliate for it anymore. And so like that's terrible. Don't use TA. Do manual instead. But I mean, you can go through. So if it were just me, I don't know if I would use it every day. But I mean, my Discord, we're trying to pump out as many leads as possible, like every day, and so it makes sense for us.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, the software money is where it's at. There's some companies. I know some guys that own like multiple things in this space. not only is your recurring money, the margin's like 90%, but you exit that company for a ridiculous amount of money. Like you can become a millionaire if you start a good Amazon software business. It's crazy.
It's what Caleb Roth did, right? He got ScoutIQ off the ground and going, and then sold it as a SaaS company. And then you look at what is it? 3 Colts. That's who owns Tactical Arbitrage now.
Yeah.
I think anything that says Amazon, they're just buying it. So it's got to be some money there. So.
Yeah, I mean, Tactical Arbitrage was owned by that guy Alex too, and yeah, I think 3 Colts. I think Tactical Arbitrage might have been like the first one to be bought, unless they had other stuff. I know they bought repricers. They have all sorts of stuff. Like if you go to the 3 Colts menu, like they'll be like, "Oh, do you want all this other stuff?" They do like reimbursement. Like I don't know. Probably if you bought all the stuff, you'd probably be in for like who knows, like $600 to $800 with all their stuff.
If there were a software, so right now I'm doing Walmart too. 50% of my time and probably, I don't know, 20 or 30% of my money this year is going towards growing my Walmart third-party store. And so I'm literally like, take something like this freaking toy here. If I scan this in Walmart right now, this is the way I'm doing it. It's crazy. It's really dumb. I'm scanning the barcode with whatever, scanner app, and then for Amazon, and then I'm going out of that app, scanning it again with Walmart to see what it is. And with Walmart, I'm not getting any real data except for what's available. So whoever gets there first and makes a Walmart scanner app that also works with Amazon, they'll have a bunch of people. I bet there'll be 10,000 new Walmart sellers. Just constantly pouring in this year. Like it's getting attention. It's an obviously great opportunity. So I think that's a huge market. If you want to do a software, that's what I would do next.
What made you start on Walmart? I know nothing about Walmart. Everyone always asks me, "Are you going to sell on Walmart?" I have another business I'm kind of working on this year. I don't know. It's always intriguing to hear when like everyone starts talking about it. It's like, oh, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not missing something. But what made you start on it, and maybe what beginner tips would you have?
Yeah, the FOMO is real. It's fear of missing out. Everybody's kind of like, well, I think it might be good for Amazon long term. Maybe get some of the dummies off of some of those listings.
Sure,
but so I was on a call in like 2018 or 2019 or something like that, and I told the Zoom call I was on, I was like, you guys have to get on Walmart right now. And the reason I started, my good friend Matt Cooper, he started like a popcorn thing, and so he's not doing Amazon at all. He's just building this popcorn empire. Shout out Molly Unipop, but he was selling these Godzilla toys. I was selling them too. I was selling them on Amazon. He was selling them for like $40 and $50 and getting sales just back to back as soon as he listed them on Walmart. And so I was like, well, I want that. And so I downloaded it, and I think I did 2 months or 3 months strong, with it, and then I didn't touch it for like 2 years. After that Q4, I just didn't mess with it. And then recently I picked it back up because some of my buddies are having some success with it. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, you think it's like viable? I guess what would your split be with it? Like, is it 80-20 or whatever it is? And what do you want to get it to?
Yeah, that's tough. I said at the beginning of the year, in December, we had our best month ever on Walmart, and we didn't try that hard. We just cross-listed our Amazon stuff mostly. Some of the people in my group had like crazy months. Like I think somebody did a 6-figure month on Walmart. And so to give you an idea, like there's way less competition, like way less, because it's a pain in the butt to freaking, it's not easy to list and like figure out. So like a toy that is $29.99 on Amazon legitimately might be $46.99 or $49.99 on Walmart, because there's not the dummies to, bring the price down, the price tanking. It's not happening as much. It is happening, but it's not happening as much. And so, sorry about that. So some of the stuff is like way more profitable. And so I think 50-50 is my time split. And then, we've got stuff that's working on Amazon. And so probably like 70 or 80% of the money still going to Amazon for purchasing. but 50% of my time is going towards learning the platform and sending as much in. Some days we're sending more into Walmart, so it's it's hard, when it's obviously better the other way, and you're seeing it getting sales. It's hard to send it to Amazon when you have a better option.
Yeah, that makes sense. Somebody actually, I wasn't super familiar with your stuff, and somebody sent me your profile because you were buying one chip challenge things, and I have like 120 of those. And now
Nice.
hearing you, it's probably for Walmart, right? Was that where you were selling them?
Unfortunately, no. I wish. No, they banned them too. I was so I had a bunch, obviously, like we all did, and I posted on social media, and I found a guy that has a retail store. I guess I should say he found me, and so he's wholesale buying those from me. So I'll buy, as long as you're willing to sell them for nothing, as long as you're willing to sell them for like super cheap, I'm just wholesaling them to a retail store guy.
Yeah, because that's what I told the guy. I was like, I bet he's not paying much because I feel like I'm just going to store them, look at them in 10 years, and they're probably going to be worth loads of money. Because like that's going to be that's what it's kind of like an investment.
You could you could return them. So I know two people who, if you go through the Packy website, they're giving you, I think, like $10 a chip, and then you send them to them, and they destroy them.
Yeah, we didn't have to return ours. They refunded us immediately and didn't ask for a return. And so I was like, hey, wonder what I can do with all these free chips. And
I also know someone who bought 1,000 from Amazon, and Amazon just refunded their money, no questions asked.
Yeah, Amazon was the easiest. They refunded like immediately with no questions. Yeah, so there are some people that have bought like tens of thousands. Like there's one guy, a big name in the community. I won't say who he is, but he bought like a lot, and he was like, "How much are you paying?" I told him. He said, "I just destroyed over 10,000 of them," and I was like, "No,
Holy
you did what?" And so he said that he had to go through a bulk something to get refunded on him. He said he got refunded for all of them and then destroyed them. I was like, no, you could have sold them to me for a freaking dollar, and I would have bought them. But
I think I'm just going to keep them as like I don't know, those things that pop up like 20 years from now, they're going to figure out they're not that day. I've taken each year, I've had one of them. So I like know how they're not going to kill you. I mean, I guess they did, but like they're not that bad. So like I'm just gonna hold these, and then one day I might be sitting on like a gold mine because everybody's gonna destroy theirs, or everybody's gonna get rid of them. Yeah. So that's my plan with them.
It'll take one platform to open them back up, and then everybody be like, they're not that bad,
Exactly.
I don't think that's a bad strategy.
Yeah, it always sucks when like obviously this is a little bit of a different situation, but I do remember do you remember like the Dr. Seuss books? Like they deemed a couple racist, and I remember watching David Chung go through his warehouse. And he just had like pallets of like Dr. Seuss books, and they were just pulling like tons. I think I ended up selling one of them, the Mulberry Street one, for like $500, another for like $250, and then eBay is just like, no, like you can't sell them here anymore. Like whatever, it's not right. So then Mercari, like everyone followed, and it's like, damn, like I had like $5,000 here hypothetically just like sitting on the table. And I think when I closed the warehouse, I ended up just like chucking them in a Gaylord. I'm just like, maybe this comes back one day, but like highly doubt it if everyone's like, oh, this is mean or this is whatever. I don't even know the reasons.
I think 30, 50 years go by. I think people, maybe not even that long, they'll be like, what were we doing during that time? Especially, like, I have a bunch of those too. And I'm like, that it will be cool if you're one of the last people with them. They probably will be worth more then than they are now if they're already like worth a lot of money. So I just like to store that stuff. I'm like, it's kind of like an alternative investment, really. It's probably better than Lego. Like that stuff's guaranteed like discontinued, out of stock and stuff.
If it had that many people talk about it, that much attention, at some point it comes back around. I think you're totally right. Did you sell Aunt Jemima syrup?
Yep, did that too.
So much Aunt Jemima syrup. And then they killed the listings, and I got stuck with so much Aunt Jemima syrup. I paid a kid from church. I said, go to every grocery store, take my card, buy everything. And I mean, he came back. He had like a little Honda something, and it was just like, I wish I had better documented all some of those days because it was crazy times. But like, it was just stacked all the way back in his car, and he had pulled his trunk down. So I mean, it was just like his car was full of syrup, like to the top. Those are good days.
Yeah, the butter. Another one was the butter, right? Land O'Lakes, and they had like an Indian guy on there. I have a empty carton of butter somewhere in my storage unit. I'm like,
awesome.
maybe one day that'll be worth like $300.
I didn't sell any of that. Yeah, it's crazy. That
was a crazy time. Now that you were talking about that, like all that stuff happened like bang, bang, bang. I guess it was 2020, right? Like mid 2020.
Around that time, yeah. Crazy year for us. That's the year that we had our first 7-figure year. I think we did like 1.3 or 1.2 or something like that, which was totally uncharacteristic for us. Like before that, like it was a huge jump for us, and that would have been doubling, in a year, and like that set us up. That was really good for us.
So you were already selling before that year, right? So you were kind of, I got out of college right at 2020. So I didn't even know, I went from $0 on eBay to 300K over 3 months. But looking back on it now, if I knew what I knew now, I'd be like a millionaire that year, just because I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was buying like 2 units because I'm like, oh, what if it doesn't sell? Yeah, those things were selling like instantly. Everything was.
Yeah, I got banned. I got suspended for selling. So I'm probably outside I can't go to prison now. Statute of limitations or whatever. But I was selling some PPE products. Anyways, I took a trip to get hand sanitizer, and so I live in Georgia. I went the north part of Georgia and the north part of Alabama. I hit almost every store of 2 different chains, and I came back and I remember having this moment where I was like, I'm gonna be a freaking billionaire. Like I'm just gonna I am Elon freaking Musk, because we laid it all out. We didn't even have a warehouse really. I laid it all out I didn't list it while I was driving. I literally drove for like 18 hours or something crazy. Like it was like this long time. And we put it all out in the the living room. I remember sharing pictures in my group, like like a flex pic, like taking a selfie with all this freaking sanitizer. And we listed it all, and it sold in like 2 hours. Like it was just like bring, like like immediately. And I remember thinking like, I have figured life out. There's got to be another hand sanitizer product. And then all that money got held up, and they I remember getting the call, and they're like, we're temporarily suspending your account, and we're holding, like, it was like a lot of money to us, at the time. And so crazy times.
You talk about this, bringing back all these stories. I had a moment. I was watching Fox News with my dad, and there was a Pepsid thing that came on that said this might be like the cure to COVID. And I remember like I was probably like doing $3K a month. I looked over at him and I was like, I'm going to buy some right now. I hit up every Dollar General, everything, with lists on my phone selling Pepsi bottles I was buying them for $14, selling them for $150 on eBay. I was like, whoa, like I'm going to be, I got home, sold probably like 9 bottles. I bought 200, 300. I cleared out everything in the city. And then got my eBay account like suspended or whatever. And I was like, oh man, I was the only person selling Pepsi. And it was just basically an ad on Fox News for it, saying, would this work to cure your COVID? Yeah. Those times were so awesome, man.
And then there was the, it was some ingredient in seltzer water. Do you remember? Did you sell any of those?
So many of those.
Cornoid or something like that. Yeah. That was crazy. It's like,
I didn't do as
much. I'll sell it. I'll go pick it. Nobody wanted to go in stores. So like, to anybody that's like, you shouldn't have sold that. It was a world health crisis, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I was in the store. I went in with my body and my lungs into the freaking store. If it's so dangerous, then they should pay me $100. So.
You were like one of the, what do they call them? Like the line workers? I forgot what they call them. Like they're the real heroes. Like
exactly. Like these are the frontline whatever.
The frontline workers,
nurses and blah blah. I was like, no, those people. Obviously nurses, blah blah blah. But also, I'm going into freaking Walmart, which is dangerous. Like some of my Walmarts in Georgia are a third world country, anyways. So like you go in and it's like people sneezing and God knows what. So yeah.
Yeah, I had hydrogen peroxide, just filled my entire cart with it. And some woman goes, you can't buy all that. And I was like, well, are you going to help me put it back? Because there's like 400 bottles here. And this is like $5K worth of goods. So like, let me check out.
Yeah.
Man, those times were so good.
Yeah. All this is hypothetical to anybody watching. I'm just joking about all this.
Yeah, same here. This is just all. I dreamt it.
May or may not have happened. We're just brainstorming here what we might have done.
Yeah.
Have you found anything like that? Because I don't do RA at all. I haven't done it in 2 years. Are
Yeah.
there things that pop up like that? Those kind of like really hot items, or is that kind of behind?
Yeah. So the group that I run is our bolo group, and so we started it. We were chasing bolos, like we were looking for like that hot stuff, and it's kind of more turned into just bulk leads. Like we've kind of figured out some systems where we just get as many leads as possible that are I guess I should say this. I put as many leads as possible in there, and then I have a friend who does quality control, and she filters out all the ones that are not that great and puts the good, the best ones. They go through to the channels, and so we find them, but that's not really our focus anymore. Like once you get a little bit of money, it's not that exciting. Like it's more exciting to be able to consistently spend an amount every day and not have to get your blood pressure up. Like it's exciting if you find it, about it, but there's no way. Like even my Walmart that's like closest to my house, if there's a crazy bolo that pops up, I'm probably not driving over to chase it down. I've kind of got a day to day that's going already. But if I know about it and I see it, maybe.
I did a really big road trip like right before Q4. Like it turned out to be a false alarm, but it turned out to. So there was this one thing I was buying and I was selling a crazy amount of, and it was really hot, and it just like went off the website. I was like, oh my god, it's over. Like it's over for real. Like this has never been out of stock. And I was like, I'm just gonna go hunt all these down. And I probably went on like a 2-day road trip and spent probably close to 10K on all these items. And I'm like texting like someone, I was like, dude, I'm telling you, like, buy this stuff. And then like 2 days later, it came back to stock. Like
painful.
Shit. But I still made a ton of money because it was still profitable. It was like one of those things where it was like, for me to like go do that, it has to be super worth it. I was like, oh, this is fun, until I stayed over at a couple hotels. I'm like, damn, like my gym is in here. Like this is a big inconvenience now. Like this isn't like no, like this is not what you want to do. It was super worth it though, because like I was able to scoop up. It was like probably 5 to 10 different SKUs. So every store had at least something. So I never struck out. I mean, I guess if I went to some stores and didn't get it, it'd be pretty crappy. But yeah, and I was like, yeah, this is maybe like a fun once in a year type of deal.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember,
go
those
ahead.
were stressful times. Like I don't know. I hated that stuff because what would happen was I would chase, and then sometimes you wouldn't find it. And then if you did find it, let's say I bought 200, I would notice I would sell 100, and I'd raise my price, and then it would get flooded with stock or something. And I'm like, I probably lost money at the end of this, and I was in a constant cycle. I'm like, this is just too stressful. I don't even know if I'm making money. I still have all that stuff in a storage unit like that I missed out on. So for me, it was just I eventually realized, like you, it's just better to consistently spend money instead of just like run around with a chicken with your head cut off all the time,
Yeah, there was this item. So there's a bargain store that I still shop at today, and I love this store. And it's like a small local regional chain. It checks all the box for IP stuff. So I feel good about shopping there, and I find good deals. And I have a couple buddies that shop there. I found this dog treat, and I feel like gather around children, like this is like this is the dream. Like if you're a newer seller, like this is like this is a huge and it was good for us for cash flow. But it was discontinued, and I didn't know it was discontinued. I bought 12 of them, tested them. They sold like the same day as soon as they hit the warehouse, as soon as they hit FBA. So I was like, that's pretty, that's interesting. So I went and bought more and listed them FBM. They sold within an hour. It's like, oh crap, I think I've got something, here. So I bought everyone at all of those stores, and I was telling some of my buddies, I was like, I'm pretty bummed because, shout out to Heather Scott if she ends up watching this. I'm pretty bummed because I can't find any more of these stupid treats. Like, check your stores if you can find them. And she messages back and says, hey, there's this grocery store that's only local to you. And it was Food City. If you want to look on a map, of the route that we did, we figured out that they restocked this dog treat twice a week and the chain is like, if this is Georgia and this is Tennessee all the way up to Virginia, it's like 40 stores or something. And so nobody would sell us a pallet, but I hired a lady from church. This was 4 months ago or something, like 4 or 5 months ago. I hired a lady from church to drive twice a week to every one of those stores. I have pictures of her coming back with her car just with IKEA bags full of these dog treats. They would sell almost immediately. We ended up finding like 4 or 5 different ASINs that we could sell on, and we sold $90,000 of these. We were buying them for like $4. We were selling them for like 17 to 19. There at the end, we sold some for $26.99, and you know, I'll run for that. You know, I mean, we I don't know what the number is. The only reason I know 90,000 is because I was looking at seller board and I was like, I wonder how much of this we sold, and it was about that much. But I mean, $20,000-$30,000 worth of profit, something like that, and it just fell in our lap because we're just kind of shooting the crap with friends that are doing the same thing we're doing, and they're like, hey, so I probably should have bought Heather something really nice for Christmas. I need to revisit that, but I mean, because she didn't have it in her area. She's out in Texas.
Right.
She's like, every time I'd send a picture, she was like, sad because she can't get them. But yeah, that's a run. That's a drop. You find a bolo like that. It's a short-term opportunity. You can't really build a business around it, but why not go collect the cash? And that's the approach me and my wife took. So.
That's always the hard thing too, because like you don't know, like who knows? Maybe that like food wherever you were buying them is like, oh my god, like we can't keep these in stock. Then that everyone starts to get them in stock. It's a hard game to play is when you don't have data. I feel like with kind of like that's like I wish I was doing OA back in like 2020. I had the book warehouse, so I was doing that stuff, and we had opportunities in that space like Dr. Seuss and banned books and stuff like that, which were like really great because like we're getting that inventory for like $1 a book or whatever, turning that into $100 a book. But I feel like it's at least with like the COVID thing, you're like everywhere is like there are shortages of it. It was like very well known. You knew that no one had it or everyone was looking for it. Like there was built-in demand. And when you look on Amazon, like when you're doing like Q4 toys or something like that, right? Like the news might be like, oh, hey, like everyone wants this, I don't know, little Tamagotchi, whatever. And you're like, oh, like, okay, I got to get that.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing like saying that, like, oh, they only made 10,000 of them, or oh, it's sold out everywhere. You're just playing this like guessing game, and it's always that's what stresses me out. Like what you were saying before, it's like, ooh, I'd rather just spend money over lots of different ASINs and not be. I went as deep as I've ever went, like this Q4, and it worked out. I still do have like inventory left, and it's kind of like tail end stuff, but I just made so much on it during Q4. It's like it is what it is.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's always hard to time the market like that because sometimes you're like, there are certain patterns where it was like, oh, this goes. I was telling Drew the other day, I was like, this thing would go out for like 4 weeks. It would come back in. We'd buy me and someone else. We'd just be, hey, it's back in stock. We'd buy like 100, 200 each, and then this time around, we bought like 400 or something, some ridiculous amount, and it never went out of stock. It did eventually, but it was like, and every day it was still in stock. I'm like, shit, like this might be the end. We're still making money on it, but like, it like when you're going for making like $30 or $40 on something, all the way down to like 2 or 3, you're like, the good old days. I miss that.
Yeah, making Oprah money on something like that is way better. Where you're like $2 and like something $20 profit. Like that's amazing.
It's interesting bringing this stuff up because this is one of the questions I had. I was watching some of your daily vlogs, which one I was going to ask, what motivated you to kind of do that? Mm-hmm. And then also I saw that one of them was like, no matter what everybody says online, no matter how many people are lying to you or whatever it is, there's usually a moment where you're like, oh, this does work. And if I keep doing X, I will get X. And I was like, damn, that is such a, now to me, it makes sense. Everybody else is probably like, what's he really talking about? Unless they've experienced like that big cash influx where you're like, no matter what anybody says, I know this works. And then you tell everybody and they think you're nuts, but the money's hitting your bank account. I found that like super interesting when I saw that.
Yeah, it's like a light bulb moment. Yeah, I remember when I recorded that video, it's like, I think my personality or like the way I'm like wired or something. Sometimes I'll just have a thought and it's like the hair on the back of my neck stands up. I'm like, that's revelation. It's like, whoa. Like this is a huge, like maturity moment, or like I just evolved from Charmander into Charizard, or like something like that. Like it's like, whoa. Like that. And so yeah, when I recorded that, I was like, I have to share this. Somebody out there will watch this and be like, I got to, either they'll say yes, like what you said, I identify with that, or they'll say, I just got to get there. Like, I just got to keep, do like, because in the beginning, some of this just sucks. Like, you buy something thinking you're going to make $10 and you lose $1, or you lose $5, or
You
you
lose
get
$20
scammed.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Or you get scammed, or, like, whatever. And so, like, pushing through some of that, like, a lot of people just don't, they don't push through. And so, yeah, the daily-ish vlog idea,
I like
I've
that twist on it, the ish, because I've thought about doing daily vlogs before, and I was like, Drew was like, really like, you should do it, you should do it. I'm just like,
should.
I don't know if I have it in me, like, to do it every day. Because, like, some days it's like, it's just, with OA, I just feel it's harder. Like, when I was doing books, it'd be easy. Like, I would take, like, picture of the
Yeah.
warehouse. Oh, here's some books I found that, like, you'll never find because it's totally random, right? Instead
Right.
of being like, oh, I'm sitting down at Walmart because they're having, like, a video game sale. It's like, well, there goes my storefront and pretty much everything I
Right.
bought. Like, it's much harder to kind of portray, like, what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, there's only so many pictures you can share of your sales screenshot and pictures of more boxes, and that's I mean, like that's it's hard to
And then
make
you
content.
post the box and people are like, oh, they're empty. You probably
Right.
saving them up for the last year. It's like, yeah, that's you got
Yeah.
you got me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
My
Yeah.
idea for it was that, like, he was talking about where that it was on a podcast we were doing. He was
Yeah.
saying that he made a bunch of money with furniture, and I was like, dude, if you did a daily vlog of like 0 to 100K and just did Facebook to Facebook or Facebook to Craigslist furniture, and then
Yeah.
every day you could share everything because no one really, they're not going to like take your furniture leads. There's none of those. So and then you build up an email list with or whatever, and at the end you launch your own like 30-day challenge on getting to 10K with furniture, and you can make like charge money for it. So you could like sell info at the end, and then you would have made money and grown your YouTube in the middle of it. And I was like, I feel like anybody that wants to run with that idea, that's just like,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, but it does take a lot of work. I mean, you'd have to be like in the trenches every day, but the reward I feel like would be great.
Poor people should flip stuff on Facebook. Like, if I can say anything to the world, like, if you're below the poverty line, Google it. What's the poverty? Like, when I talk about the poverty line, like, what's the poverty line? If you're below that number, and not to be like I'm barely, I'm not a millionaire or anything. Like, I just got to where I'm worth $1 in 2023, which was a huge, huge deal for me personally. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you don't have any money, like if you're broke, like, flip stuff on freaking Facebook. Like, the furniture stuff, like that random idea that Drew just shared, that sounds cool. But like, just the average person, go on freebie, what is it, the freebie app, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
And like, there's just freaking stuff every day. Set the zip code to the richest neighborhood that you're willing to drive to, and look for shelving, look for the furniture stuff like he's talking about, look for dog carriages, look for like anything that you can sell for like $20 to $30. And like, I really think I could do the 0 to 100,000 challenge. And I would have fun. Like, I would enjoy it. Like,
Where
if
we
I had
used
time.
Take the idea, man. There you go.
we moved into like a nicer, like, kind of townhouse and all that kind of stuff. Where we used to live, when we had an apartment, it was like a nicer apartment complex. Every once in a while, like, people would move out. All you would see is like furniture outside, like chairs. I'm like, oh, that's like $10. That table, that's probably at least 100. And then it's like, it's free. It doesn't matter like what you get for it. And then, oh, guess what? There's a dumpster outside. Like, if this doesn't work, it's just gonna go back where it came from. Like, who cares? And then when we moved, like, knowing what I know about flipping stuff, I'm just busy. Like, I didn't have time to list everything on Facebook. Like, I would have gave it away to like someone, or be like, oh, hey, like, we sold like a couch for like $50 because it was like, just needs to be gone. I'm like, I don't want to pay for it to be gone. And like, that's the end of it. But someone could have easily got, I don't know, $200-300 for that, like easily, or just this little stuff. And it's just like, I just don't have the time to kind of do this right now. If I could just like put it somewhere and like come to it in a year. But it was just like moving, like Q4 was coming up. It's like just no time for this. But there's so many people, like my parents are kind of the same way. When they moved from their house to a smaller house, they're like, we just want all this stuff gone. And like they're like, I just want to like, they don't care if someone sells it. They just want it to like go to a good home. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. It's like, oh, like if you take it and you sell it, like you're an asshole. It's like, no, you're like putting it in a home. Like it's a legit nice piece of, like if you're selling something that's like full of like bed bugs, like yeah, you're an asshole. But like in the grand scheme of things, if you're selling something that someone wants, like it's all good. Like you're actually doing my parents a favor by coming to get it, so they don't have to call someone to get it or get like a dumpster to get rid of it.
Yeah. Take this idea. If somebody's watching this and they're in that position.
You're good. We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Take this idea. Go and message every Facebook yard sale post. Message them and say, hey, at the end of your yard sale, I'll roll up with my pickup truck or my Honda Civic, and I'll take everything I can fit. You don't have to take it to Goodwill. I'll take it for you. And full disclosure, I'm probably going to try to sell some of it on eBay, but it's a convenience factor for you. And then you roll up and you take all their stuff, and then on the way home, you keep 15% of it or 20% of it. But that's just free money. Like you could do that. You could scale that and just, build an inventory of eBay stuff. Secretly, I have this. I don't want to say fantasy, but like I have this idea. Like if everything else went to crap, I really think I could just grow eBay to just some crazy number, and I bet I could get 100 pieces of free inventory a day. Like there's so much crap out there, and to go from 0 to 1,000 or 0 to 5,000 or whatever, like that it's super attainable. Like it's not like it wouldn't be that hard to go, from there. So, I have family members and like people that like see what I'm doing now, and they're not, they have, they're kind of in that other situation, and I'm like, look, just do this. I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you the whole bag. Like everything I'm doing, I share, and whatever. People don't want to do that stuff. So
have you ever followed
numbers? If you break down the numbers on it, really, like, okay, so how much money do we spend and how much work do we put in to do Amazon to make whatever percent margin, which obviously yours is probably higher because you're doing so much RA. Sure. But if you only did free shit and turned it into a decent amount of cash, like if you reality break it down, you might make more money just doing that and have more like cash in your bank account. Because then you're not really, the problem with Amazon is a cash-based business. So you never really have any money. But if you do that, what are you deploying cash for? Like storage unit, maybe warehouse. Maybe. I've thought about that too. I'm like, I don't know if that might not be the best idea. If you're not, if you're like really low on the thing, I don't know if like just jumping into Amazon. I think doing that for a significant period of time. Like I bet you can make 10K a month. It doesn't take that much to do that type of thing.
I did it. That's how I started. I did it just kind of like, I would even just say weekends and some nights. Like it was more like the weekends. I'd go out, I'd collect all this furniture, take pictures of it, and then most of the sales would happen during the weekend. Like I could be at home just watching like TV with my girlfriend. Like we make dinner. Oh, can we come? Yeah, like whatever. It's like just come pick it up. Like I don't care. Yeah. I did. I think like close to 20 grand. Just like minimal. Like go. Like it does. And I started it with I think $100. Like I didn't put anything more because like if you buy $100 worth of stuff, usually that turns into like $300 or $400 because you're getting 5 items for $20 each or whatever you're doing. And I was gonna say, do you follow the flea market flipper on Instagram?
I don't think so. Maybe I do.
I spoke at his conference. They actually gave me this water bottle that was I love.
Yeah, I follow this guy. Yeah.
And basically. Yeah, he'll find stuff on Facebook Marketplace for like $500 to go to a flea market, and he'll post it on eBay, be like, "Oh yeah, I just sold this for $8,000."
Right.
like he does a lot of work though. Like he has to like clean it up or maybe like fix it up, and he has to build like this ginormous pallet to ship it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be building the pallet, but it's super impressive what he's doing. He's spending $500, selling it for 8,000 on eBay after fees. Who knows? Maybe 3-4 grand, 5 maybe, like off of 500. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's posting
everywhere.
Yeah, and he's posting it, and the eyeballs you get on that's like the most simple concept to understand. Like I went to a flea market, I bought this, I sold it on eBay. It's not like you're really explaining anything, so no wonder. I bet I even know who he is by proxy because it's just so simple to understand. I think that's a huge opportunity, really. Like I don't know. I'm surprised we don't see more people like that.
I'm always getting excited to do it now. Like I have so many different opportunities to do. I'm just like, ooh. Like I think every once in a while I'll list returns on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, I kind of forget how much I hated this because they're like haggling you. Like, I'm so glad I don't do this anymore. But I don't know. I feel like if I did like a challenge, I could probably get like going and through it. It's just more like the setup here at the townhouse now. It's like my office is downstairs, so I have to like bring everything downstairs. It kind of be like annoying. I don't know though. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I'm hiring a friend. Actually, I was just like writing the letter today. I'm hiring somebody to come up and clear my storage unit because I probably got like 100K in storage. And I was like, man, if this works well, he starts making like $300, $500 in sales a day. I might be like, hey man, here, get some more inventory. Do like what we're talking about and vlog it. I might be like, I'm gonna just make you like this famous flipper. Just listen to what I say, and you can do it. Now that we're talking about, like, I'd be an idiot not to because I know it'll work. It's just simple supply and demand, and people want shit.
Yeah.
It's just another profit center. You just add like think about how would SunTrust or like Wells Fargo view that, or like some other company, like they would just view it as it's just another profit center. It's just another operation that we have going on, and we can handle it. If you were saying you were gonna do all of it, then it's a red flag. But like you're hiring it out to somebody, like that just sounds like you're expanding your business. Like that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I hope it works out. Maybe I'm overly ambitious about because I think that sometimes we probably undervalue like our work ethic and knowledge of all this stuff. So like we can all see the same thing on Facebook and probably know if it's worth it and whether we want to deal with it. Some people might just get lost of like, what am I supposed to buy? This is so much work. This person canceled on me. eBay, I got a return. Like it is a lot, I guess, but it's really not if you,
I think that too, like that person, your friend, hopefully he can get some quick wins. Get like maybe bonus him early. Be like, oh man, you did such a great job. Like hit him hard early, and then be like, oh, because like I can almost see like that being super ambitious. Like someone coming from books, like I've gone to like people's houses, and it's like, oh, they have like 40 boxes of books. It's like, oh, is there anything in? Obviously, you have good stuff. It's a different idea, but like it'd be like, oh, I have to get all this shit on eBay. I'd be like, oh, and I know how much is involved in that. I'm just like, oh man, that could be so much work. But if the comp is right, and you get some early wins on that, like it could definitely work.
Yeah, we shall see. Yeah, the bonuses like incentive might be pretty good. Well, talking about the hiring thing, I was also watching one of your vlogs. You fired your wife or whatever. So I want to hear a little bit about that because I think it's funny because I'm working with a friend and I have a girlfriend as well, and I have her do some stuff for me. But I'm like, man, this is kind of this example people give of like don't hire family. But,
so let me preface by saying we have 6 kids. She homeschools, and she was. And she recently got accredited to be a trainer, and like she loves CrossFit. I like it all right. I do it to try to keep up with her, but like she loves CrossFit, and so she's busy. She's got like lots of stuff. But here's the problem we were having. Every time I would have a task or like a position that I wanted to farm out to somebody, she would say, whoa, I would like to have an extra $500. Whoa, I would like to have an extra, $200. And so she was doing a portion of our bookkeeping. She was doing some of the quality control stuff for my Discords, like the leads coming in and some other stuff. And she was also helping with shipments. And so I just kind of, I asked her like, we can afford to not, to not have you do this. Like go be a good homeschool teacher, go be a good, a mother, go be a good CrossFit coach, and let me just take you out of the business. And we agreed on a number to pay, salary, to us that, made sense, which is a pay cut to us, by the way. If you can, every chance you get, negotiate to keep money in your business, because that'll keep you in freaking business. But we're paying ourselves a little bit less, but she's not doing anything with the business, like, other than, like, in passing, if she's just hanging out while I'm working or something like that. But I thought it would be more clickbait, but I'm not big enough to really do clickbait yet. I think, but yeah, it was mutual. It was mutual. So
were you nervous to have the conversation?
she was not expecting it. It came out of left field for her, because she does great work. Like, she's smarter than me. She's better at a lot of things than I am. Like, and so it made sense for her to be doing those things, but it's not lighting her fire. Like, she's not excited about that work. And so I think, putting people in the right seats on the bus is it's important. And it's like long term, it's way more important to me that she's present while she's doing homeschool for our kids, and she's present while she's playing with the whatever, and just happiness, just general, like, I'm cool to make $1,000 or $1,500 less a month and have her stay at home, really stay at home, and really not have that part of her brain committed to freaking menial tasks and things that in the business that needed done. So
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You got me with the clickbait, but yeah, after I watched it, I was like, yeah, that especially with 6 kids. I don't know if you said that in the video. Now that changes things a lot too. And homeschool. I mean, that's like 2 full-time jobs in itself.
Yeah.
So
she's like a superhuman. Yeah, she's amazing.
Well, that was awesome. One of the questions I had too, is like, you run a Discord, you have leads list, you do Cody's education, you run Amazon, you do Walmart, you do a daily-ish vlog. Like, how do you figure out all the time to get all these done? And did you just do one at a time and it just kind of stacks, or are you just a ninja?
Don't forget, I also do retail arbitrage. So I'm out in the streets, a couple days a week. Yeah. Sourcing.
Fighting people at Walmart. That's a job.
Yeah. I like to work. I think everything I'm doing energizes me, and it's something that I want to be doing. And the stuff that I don't want to be doing, I'm excited about not doing that too. We hired a prep center that we can drop off our retail arbitrage stuff, and we hired a lady. She does almost all of our eBay stuff now, and that's a huge load off. And so the stuff that I don't enjoy, we're hiring out. And like I said, we just hired someone that is helping with quality control for the incoming leads for the group. That was a big portion of my time. And so I think it's just, you just solve one problem at a time and set goals of what I feel like so much is falling through the cracks. Still, I'm still working every day to try to do a good job with what I'm doing. But like, when I open and said about the software, like, I immediately know, like, my brain wants to go there. It's like, we could still do that. We could still fit in a software, and it's like, no, like, no new things for a while. We're just gonna do what we're doing well, and so that's I like what I'm doing, and so that I think that matters. And also, the alternative is I go back and sell insurance at freaking State Farm, or one of these other companies, and it's like, I definitely don't want to do that, and so like, this is.
You like outsourcing some stuff too. I'm sure that helps a ton. And like, if you ever wanted to pursue the software, I'm sure that like you outsourcing more and more of these other businesses, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I get the same way you are. I just get way too much on my plate, and then I'm like, oh, there's these new ideas, and it's like, sometimes it's worth it to just focus in. I was just watching Hormozy talk about yesterday of like, he had all these businesses and he met his girlfriend. She was like, well, what makes you the most money? And he was like, this one. She was like, well, how much could you make if you work full time on that? He's like, tons. And he's like, I'm an idiot. Why wouldn't I just work on this? And so you just shut all the businesses down. And that's all they did. Sometimes it makes me think like, I just need to focus on like one thing, but it's so hard because like there's not unlimited work to do with one thing. If you run out of capital, you can't source on Amazon all the time. So I get where you're like lots of buckets because you just want to work all the time.
Yeah. I think the hard thing with one thing too is like if you work by yourself, like you don't have a 9 to 5. Like if I had a 9 to 5, I could drop Amazon tomorrow because like, well, it depends on how you build your life, but how I had it when I had a 9 to 5 is like I wasn't using any of the Amazon money. I just had my 9 to 5 like that. I was good. Like I was saving money for all that good stuff. And like Amazon was just extra. So if I was like, oh, like I want to go start a TikTok, I'd be like, well, I'll put Amazon on pause. Like I don't need that money or whatever. Right. But then once you have like, once you're counting on a source like Amazon or Walmart, then you have to pivot to something else where you're like, well, shit, like this other thing might not work. Like, am I like chasing this shiny object or is this a better opportunity? Or that's what I'm doing now. It's like, I really want to do this thing. I've always wanted to do it. And I'm trying to incorporate it with Amazon. And it's like, I forgot how hard it was to do multiple things. Like, because Amazon's like, it's not like we're running a small Amazon business over here. And it's just me. I don't have any VAs. I have a prep center. But even so, it's like, oof, like to just put something else on and you're like, oh, I don't even know if this is going to work. And then I'm also taking away from the Amazon business because like I'm not spending a ton of time on it either. So it's like, oh, I run the risk of this other thing doesn't work out that I could have built. And sometimes like, oh, why wouldn't you just keep the Amazon thing going? But I really like this other thing. It's scratching another itch. And it's like, I've already have like, it's only been like 15 days or whatever. And it's like, if I already learned one thing, I was like, even if this is the only thing that happened from this, it's totally worth it. Because it's just such a cool thing that I now know how to do this. And that would just like make me happy anyway.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's the classic thing in business. Like, do you take all your chips, go home and be happy about, what you got? Or do you keep playing the game and keep growing and trying new things? And I don't know what this mysterious thing is that you guys are talking about, but I'm excited to hear more, and I bet you'll be successful. So
I'll definitely tell you after this.
Yeah. I can't wait to keep watching the podcast. In like 6 podcasts, you're going to be like, we figured it out. Take me on your private jet.
Maybe we'll have a side hustle experiment podcast jet.
That's why we named it. That's why we named it this, is because like I'm doing something completely different what he's doing, and we're both still doing like the Amazon stuff. It's like us looking at it now and talking about these things like in 6 months, 9 months, we can stick with the podcast, and it'll be so cool to see like what we watch these guys grow in real time and like start these companies. So
yeah,
let's hope unless we fail, and then we'll see.
Hey, that's great content too.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. That was one of our things. We both tried to start a private label, and then that wasn't even a failure. I just quit, and then he had to quit by proxy because I quit first. So that was like how it went.
Y'all started one together?
Well, we were supposed to. But
okay.
We got a coach, and we were doing it, and then we got pretty far down the path where we had the idea, and then I don't know. It makes a lot of sense now after starting this podcast because it was very obvious that we both wanted to do this. Like just based on the text back and forth, and like we probably talk almost every day now at this point. With the private label, it was more just like, oh yeah, we got to meet the guy. Like I'll do this homework, you do this homework, and and then we would be like, all right, let's talk before the call. And we just talk about all this other stuff, like not privately.
Right, yeah.
Then we'd have the coach, and then we're like, all right, let's recap after. We talk like 5 minutes about what that guy said, and then talk about all this other stuff. And then, just, I don't know, it just kind of fizzled out. And it was like, it's always hard, I guess, to like do that. And it wasn't that bad because we didn't talk about it like on social or anything. So it was just like, we just like closed up shop. And then it made for a good podcast. But yeah, it's like one of those things where Hermosi's been saying that a lot too. It's like you think the grass is always greener, but like there's a lot of brown grass over there too. You just don't know it yet. And I think that was kind of it for us. And maybe just like the product, like I don't know, it's a mixture. Like we don't blame the coach at all. It was more just maybe like the format. Like there wasn't enough structure there, where it's kind of like, oh, like follow your passion, and we're like, we want to make money. We don't care what the thing is. And then we ended up with a thing, and I think we got like we were trying to find another image to test, and we're just like, what are we doing? Do we really want to do that? And then totally see that. Drew kind of had like something happen, and then I was like, yeah, you should go do that instead. And then we just kind of called it.
Yeah.
Have you did any private label stuff or venture into that at all or thought about it?
I have a whole brand of private label products that they're not quite failed yet. They're so I have
I think last time we talked, you just bought it, and I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah, I have a friend whose dad had a company for like 15 years or something, and he asked me to help. He has to pay me to help him get it on Amazon, and I was like, heck no, I'm definitely not doing that crap. That would be awful. But I said I'll sit down. I'll tell you everything I know, and I won't charge anything. Let me just try to help you. So I told him what to do, and I gave him advice, and they had been selling on Walmart as their brand, or they were selling to Walmart as their brand, and so their listings were already on Walmart, so they were able to put them over on Amazon pretty easily. And about a year later, he decided he wanted to go out of business. He wanted to go do something else, and so offered to buy the whole company. Bought everything. I bought all of his inventory, his all of his accounts, all of his stuff, and long story short, I've done almost nothing with it. So we've probably done like 5,000 in sales or something. But it's just, I mean, that doesn't cover the storage costs or the, like any of the stuff we've tried with advertising. So it's not quite failed, and I haven't sold it, so it's not, it's not failed yet. But yeah, I'm not a private label guy. That some of the same challenges that you guys have. I'm just not passionate about the subject matter, and doing the work around it has been a distraction more than anything from what's making me money. So
yeah, the private label stuff's really weird. Building a brand in general is weird because your inputs are much different than doing something like, what we're all doing with anything. It's like that stuff's a lot of big concepts and big ideas, I guess, with the branding thing. And what's the direction we have to take? And you have to make big decisions, and then you have to double down and triple down and quadruple down because they could fail. It's really tough. Building a brand, I feel like, is a very difficult thing to do, especially when you're just on Amazon, because if you wanted to advertise it, you have to make an Instagram, make a TikTok, hire some people to probably create content. It's just a lot of work. And trying to mix that in with other shit is like impossible, I feel like. Doing it on your, like if I just did that, it would be awesome because then you have a
totally agree.
But as a part-time job building a brand, they say private label is like a buzzword, but you're building a big brand.
Yeah.
It's just not as simple, I think, as maybe it is like a put off to be on social media, which is probably everything.
Yeah. It's one like with arbitrage, or even wholesale, you find Starbucks coffee or you find Nike socks or whatever, insert whatever product, and there's already a market, there's already a brand, there's already everything. Literally, you're not adding anything except you're just a middleman. And so you're able to just buy it at freaking Food City or Nike Outlet or wherever and sell it on a marketplace where there's already so much data and so much whatever. So there's not, there's a little bit less risk, just in doing the thing. And then you get an immediate win and you make $3 and you're like, that was amazing. I'm going to do that like 100,000 more times this year, and, it's not like that with private label. Like in my experience, and like from talking to people like Filled by Amazon, like he's doing something in this space, and like others that have had, successful private label, you do a bunch of work, you spend a bunch of money on the front end, you spend a bunch in ad spend to get it to rank and get, the algorithm gods to like you. And then maybe one day you start making money. And then, that's where everybody like opens up. They're like, I make this passive income because I've figured all this stuff out, and figuring this stuff out's hard.
Yeah, it's hard, like you said, that with the quick wins on Amazon. It's almost like if I give somebody the reselling model and they quit that, I'm like, dude, you got no hope. Like if you can't do that, because that's like immediate feedback, and almost everything else you do in business is not immediate feedback. Like you don't get quick wins. You have to stomach those losses. And with the reselling, it's just immediate. Everything you get is input, output, and it's difficult when you go from that world to something else. You're like, oh no, I don't have any quick wins coming. Dopamine hits or whatever it is just a lot different.
Cash flow.
Yeah. And I think you get a lot of different wins with the reselling, especially like even if you have like a couple bad ASINs, you're losing on one, like you're getting cash back, like like all this stuff, like just almost like spaces out. Like you see orange bars every day, like like $2,500 is coming your way in about 4 weeks from Rakuten, and there's like all these like little things, like like things are like going all right, like it's gonna be fine, kind of thing. But yeah, even like with the new project I'm doing, it's like yeah, it's kind of a lot of that just upfront learning, grunt work, and it just makes you think because Amazon is just like I just find this product, it sells, and that's it. But for this, I'm like I want a sellable business, and that's kind of what I'm going after this time around. And for me, the arbitrage, how I have it built, like yeah, if you're like someone like Soros and has like 10 VAs that run the whole thing, you don't do anything, like that's a much different story. But I try to go the VA route. I don't really like the VA route.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just for me, it was just I hate managing people.
Yeah,
And
I get that.
that's just a big management job, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I guess once you get it to a point where like you could get a manager to look after other people, but in the grand scheme of thing, it's always kind of on you. And I think also it's like I think a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's kind of like they're an employee. It's like if your colleague in America gets fired, you feel bad for them. I feel a lot of people think it's like, oh, it's just whatever, get rid of them. It's like no, like that's like someone's like dinner and like food and housing and then that just like was like very nerve wracking to me to be responsible for that. And I'd like the head of it, I think I had like 3 or 4, and I was like, wow, like this is just way too much, like too much responsibility. And then at the end of the day, it was like I was the best sourcer, and you know that's just how it went. And I was like, I'm just gonna source, rely heavily on a prep center, and that's gonna be kind of the model for me.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with this next venture.
You have a lot of VAs? Do you run with a lot?
I have one VA that is just the cornerstone of my operation. Like she's just amazing, and she's been with me for like 3 years or something. And she's just amazing. And then I have a bunch of contractors, so a bunch of people that I'm just kind of I pay them weekly. They their job is just to go hunt leads, and it's known up front like um this isn't a full-time position. This isn't a long-term position. Like, and the idea is those people, whenever they do a good job, I pay them more or I'll bring them on full-time. That's happened successfully twice, other than my main, person. And then they, end up going and doing something else or something like that. So it's hard, for the position that I'm wanting and like the demands that I kind of have on the position. It's tough. But yeah, I have one, and then I have a bunch of like part-time or contractors.
How do you structure that? So you let's just say you had I don't know 4 contractors. What do you like? Okay, guys, like your job is to find me X amount of leads, or like, hey, I'm willing to pay you 10 hours, or how do you set it up?
Yeah, the biggest advice I can give anybody that's working with a VA and they're starting, and like some of the stuff that you said where you're overwhelmed with like managing them, give them one freaking job. Like you want it to be like binary. Did you do the job or didn't you do the job? And if they don't, they're a person. So you pay them for the hours and you say, God bless you, good luck with your life, and you never work with them again. If they do the job, then you say, was it done well enough for me to continue to, work with this person? But like in the beginning, I think with my main person, I had her doing like a dozen different things. Like I had her doing all kind of crap, and the management is a lot harder on 10 or 12 things than it is on one thing. And so, and you can hide behind the other stuff. You're like, I didn't get the, ninth task done because I was so busy doing the other tasks. But if you have one task, I can be an ass. I can be binary cold. I can be, this is the line. Did you go over it or did you not? Did you achieve, and so that would be my biggest, advice is start with one, and then maybe if things are going super well, add in a second task. That
So
would
with one task, would that be sourcing like one site specifically, or
so
what would be an example of a task, I guess?
yeah. So the new people, what I have is a job description of 10 hours, and it's lead criteria. So I have whatever my lead criteria is, and one of the big ones is every 30 like the trailing 30-day mark. So like make it not like super duper easy or super duper broad, but like say what you want, and then say I'm gonna pay you for 10 hours, and then I think what I do now on the listing is 8 hours, and then they come and they work 8 hours that week, and if it's good, then I increase the hours. If it's not good, or if they don't do what I asked, then it's like I said, good good luck with the rest of your life. But and with a contractor, it's a lot easier to be that way. Whereas, like, you bring somebody in, they're on your team. In my opinion, that's where you're inspiring. You're, building rapport. You're building a relationship. Like, my main person got married, and so we did some stuff for her, like, and that made a lot of sense because long term, I see her as part of the team. And so.
Right.
Yeah, sourcing is all of mine are sourcing VAs at the moment. They're sourcing. Vanessa's main task is going through and working all of my tactical arbitrage searches. So she has a criteria. She works all the TA, and then the contractors, they're just I give them access to my seller amp, and I give them access to Keepa, and they're manually searching, just scraping sites looking for, winners.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to structure it. I actually just had to fire my VA. I've had her for 3 years too, but I was like, I'm just downsizing the Amazon a lot. So I'm like, I'm sorry. She hasn't done any work in like 6 months. I've just been running a charity. So I'm like, I just have to let you go. There's no way I can keep paying for nothing. Yeah. I hired 2 more, and like you just kind of made me think I need to fire somebody today. Like I gave them one task and they're not doing it in the time frame. So
yeah,
obviously it's
the
just
business.
it's been a week and a half. Like it's a lost cause if you can't figure it out by now.
Yeah, it's like people. So I have two like strong feelings about VAs. One, these are freaking people. Like you need to treat them like people. Like people matter. And so that's my one strong feeling. The other side is these are people. And they're working a job with tasks. And so like like you said, it can't be a charity. Like it's got to make sense. Because you're just doing it. Like you don't want to waste any part of their life doing work for you that they're not passionate about. They're not wanting to do. And long term they can go find something else that fits, better for them. So
yeah, I think that was the hard part for me too. I'm not good with giving negative feedback. Like
yeah,
this
that's
is
tough.
it. So it's really
Yeah.
hard because you're trying to motivate this person to be like, because they do get very like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, or
Right.
like it's cool, but then it's also not cool
Right.
because they didn't hit the task. And I
Yeah.
remember talking to Tom from Fast Track, and he's like, no, like you were saying, the criteria has to, it's not like maybe this is good in 3 months. It's like right now, it either checks these boxes or it doesn't.
Yep.
And that's what you're being judged on. And like I kind of missed that the first couple hires, and then like the last one, after I talked to him, I implemented that, and then it kind of went downhill. I was like, Q4 was coming right around, and like,
Yeah.
that's not a good time to bring on a VA and like kind of do the onboarding and all that kind of stuff. So, do you worry that the contractors are like working with other people, I guess, or they're sending you leads that they find for others, or you just kind of play here?
It could happen. And at a like conspiracy theory level, it's definitely happening. I know for sure that there are some of these people. I'm not gonna name any names, but like I've been in a bunch of discords. They're aggregating everything. Every lead everywhere is being aggregated. But that aside, are there VAs that are getting paid twice and and sending my leads to somebody else or something like that? It's possible, and I do everything I can to not let that happen. And if I find out or see it, I would cut the contract, even with my main person. But to my knowledge, it's not happening with any of my stuff. So, but it's definitely happening out there.
I'm not surprised at all if that happens. Like they're all just kind of in a Discord. it just makes sense. They can get a bunch of these jobs, stack them up, do the same tasks, and look pretty for a bunch of different people.
Yeah. You can negate some of that, because you can be like, you can say, I want a more specific criteria, or I only want you to source this site that nobody else really talks about. In the arbitrage space, people are like, we'll talk about these 12 stores, and then there's like all these other stores that are great that nobody talks about. And I'm like, I'm not going to be the guy, the schmuck that comes out and like, you should shop at, censored, so like, have them source only there. And is there the chance they do that sourcing for you and then share the leads to somebody else? It's possible. And
like back in the day, it would be a death sentence to your brand if you're like, how to get engaged at Nike. Now everyone and their brother has like a video like how to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's a crazy. If you get into talking about the social media stuff, I've been making content since 2017, and I started as a fitness page, believe it or not, which is hilarious because I'm not a fitness guy at all. But Gary Vee was like, make content. Just make it, doesn't matter. And at the time, I was learning to deadlift, and so that was the most interesting thing about my life as an insurance salesman. And so, that's where I started. But like, I think the toxicity level and the reseller social media has increased dramatically in like the last 12 or 18 months, like dramatically. And like to the point where I'm like, maybe I just don't do this anymore. Like maybe I just cut out consuming altogether. I'll record videos or record content separately and then have someone else post it and not interact. It's tough for me. I've dealt with like depression and like anxiety and stuff like that before, and like it's never really triggered by social media. Like I'm not like sitting like crying like this person said whatever, like that's not that, but like it doesn't help either, it's not good for the headspace.
So what do you think? We haven't really talked too much about the social media, but I like talking about it because originally I came on the scene. I don't know how familiar you are with any of my stuff, but I'm like I guess I was relatively toxic because I would call out a lot of stuff on Twitter, and I grew my following from like just nothing to huge because I was just like, this is all bullshit. Like these guys are all lying about stuff and trying to like funnel you into stuff. And then now that I'm like not really doing it anymore, like not posting Amazon stuff all the time, I just look at it all. I'm like, this is it's crazy how much it's grown. And then also it's very polarized of calling people out here and this. And I'm like, well, I kind of started that kind of stuff a long time ago, but I don't know.
That's why I actually met Drew, because Drew was like, I'm not selling apparel anymore. Like, I was like, I hate apparel, but everyone says to sell it. So I sent him a DM. We get on a Zoom. He's like, yeah, let's do it or whatever. And then we just kind of like been talking ever since.
Yeah. I think it's one thing to say that's bullcrap, and it's another thing to get on somebody's post and be like, your boxes are empty. Yeah, I don't know. There's a line somewhere, and for me, the main thing that motivates me to make content is I really think I can help people that are, like drug addicts or just out of prison or, below the poverty line, or they're a single mom or whatever. Like this stuff has changed my life, like for real. Like no bull crap. I wish I could say I don't have anything to sell, but I mean I do. I've stuff that like I have memberships and stuff, but like that, I'm not saying this for that. Like for real, like take all that stuff away. Just go sell a couch on Facebook. Like pick something up for free and like start making a profit and start a small business. And I feel really passionate about that. And so like measuring, like I've given up. Like there are definitely fake gurus. There are definitely people that are so full of crap. And should we call them out? Yeah, maybe, probably, yeah, probably. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Like more of the stuff I'm talking about is like personal attacks and drama and like like some of the high school stuff. Like what I'm talking about. Like you see some of it, it's like I'm not touching that.
Yeah, it's all a bit weird for me as well. I think it's like such a niche community, and then you have people. What I can't stand, and I hope somebody's going to watch this that is one of these people, but I can't stand the like anonymous accounts that get on there and say stuff, and I'm like, dude, like you're definitely a loser. Like you're on here, like that, no doubt. Like it's not like somebody that's like a good dude who like is killing it in real life is just getting on there and saying something. It's like you're definitely like fat and like living with your parents, and you like want to hate on everybody else. It's just like really weird to me. Maybe that happens everywhere. I mean, I'm not one of those people either that is like completely oblivious of, obviously there's positive online, obviously there's negative. So you have to take them both. It's not like if you think it's only positive, it's like fantasy world. So obviously there's hate, but a lot of it is just, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze with a lot of it. That's why I've kind of largely stopped posting about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think we've seen like a big draw of people who've like tried to come out about it and be like, yeah, like this isn't the fact. Me and Drew have talked about it before, like not on here, but like just like you're just like the old man that it's like, oh, like back in blah blah blah, back in 2020, like this how you didn't give away the bolo or whatever, or you just shared it with your friends or whatever, and like you come to realize like no one cares. Like they want to see orange bars, they want to see the Nike sweatpants from Kohl's that as a free lead that are gonna tank, like. They want to buy it, like for whatever reason, like that's what they want. So I guess that's what the creators give.
Do you guys get like terrible DMs from people, like just like negative crap, like just like I think that I have a style of making content to where maybe it appears that I'm a little more vulnerable than I am or something. I don't know, but like people just say terrible things, and it's like that's awful. Why would you say that to another person,
What are some examples if you want to share?
Just, I don't know, like personal attacks, like, I don't know, I can't really think of many.
Probably not great to say it. I'll stop you there. Don't say it because you're just inviting it. Yeah, man, I've never got DMs like that. No, that's interesting. You get those.
I've definitely gotten a couple. Like I've been like, oh, if you want to like work with me or something, like you'll get all
those too. Sure.
Oh, like you don't know how to sell. That's why you're doing that. Like your numbers are down. I was like, no, dude. Like whenever I post pictures of orange bars, all it brings is bad shit my way. People want stuff. People want me to push their software. I'm grateful for like people want to like work with me and stuff. And if it's the right fit, it's the right fit. But most of the time, it's someone with like 0 followers and they're just starting this tool and they're like, yeah, will you like spend 20 hours of your week like trying to set this up with us? It's like, no. But like I think a lot of that it gets you, and like some of that stuff could like mess with your mind. I think that's kind of why I'm like almost shied away from coaching and stuff. I think it's also just like a lot of pressure to like be like, hey, you should buy this, and then if it doesn't work out, like that person could be out money, and they're like, well, you told me to buy this, and it's a hard line. Like I just feel like today it's like, no, I said I would buy this. Like based on my risk tolerance, I would buy this. Does that mean you should buy this? Like you asked my opinion. Should you, like someone like DM me the other day? They're like, would you buy these 5 things? And like I was like, I don't know, if you feel good about it, like do a test buy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's irrelevant what I feel. Like I'm not like, because then it's like, oh, and I think sometimes that is like one of the biggest problems that I've seen in reselling, or even when sharing leads or asking people's opinion. Not to say this happens a lot, but it's like you're almost looking for someone to blame. Like if it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, hey Cody, what do you think about this? And I buy it and it doesn't work out, but like Cody doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like it's a scapegoat for me, and I don't do this, but I think a lot of people do, where it's just like, yeah, I'm not that confident in this. Like I know I shouldn't buy it, but I'm gonna run it by somewhere else and then be like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, or 2, they shared it and now it's tanked, and they're like totally off the hook. It's like, no, you don't know how to source, dude.
Yep. Didn't you have an NFT project at one point that was trying to pay you to sell for them or something?
Yeah, I've been approached by NFT programs. I get a lot of like, I wanted to get a Walmart / Amazon drop shipper. Like they're like, oh, we'll manage your store. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. They're like, how much can you invest? I'm like, I got a bunch of partners. We have like $500,000. I was like, but we need to have a call. And like they can't make it. Like I need to record it. And like the idea would be like to record the call and put it on like YouTube. But they're like, I've done it to multiple and no one will agree to get on a Zoom and kind of like, I was like, just send me a profitable ASIN that you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
I just like, oh, we can't do that, like, because it's just like so funny. Like, I have to be in a weird mood after like maybe a couple drinks, and I'll go through
Yeah.
Instagram. I'm like, oh, can we talk? And then I'll just like DM them back, and then in the morning I'll be like, yeah, like goodbye, like I'm blocking you now.
Yeah. I got in a comment thread with one of them, and I was like, how much would you sell me all of your, all the items you're drop shipping? Like, just tell me the list. I will cash up you or PayPal or whatever. Like, what's the price? And I was like, maybe I could do something with that. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that you get hate. Like, I feel like I wasn't super familiar, but after watching your stuff, I'm like, that's such a weird guy to hate on. You're like positive. I mean, you sound like if anybody's getting hate, I feel like it should be me. I'm the one shitting on everybody all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you're like a positive, upbeat guy. That's crazy. Weird.
That's funny that I said that, and then you said that about your content. I've never watched any of your stuff, so I'll have to go back and see what you.
I try to just keep it like, I think a lot of the things that, and this is why people even listen to me, I suppose, is I just don't really have much of a filter on, this and that. So I'm always shitting on a lot of this stuff because I feel like I see through it.
Sure.
But I guess it hasn't invited too much hate, but I might be speaking too soon. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure guys hate behind my back all the time because they're like, man, he was talking about me here.
I mean, my real opinion is if that's like what's in your heart, like that's what you're authentic to, like I don't think you should change it.
No,
Even if some guy like me is like that's toxic or whatever, like cool.
I wouldn't think you'd think anything was toxic that
Yeah.
I'm never like outwardly hating on people. You know what I mean? I think
Sure.
that's weird. Like, I definitely think if you're like one of these haters on even the big gurus, it's like, dude, if you had to switch shoes with those guys, like there's some guys that get a bunch of hate. If you were in their shoes, you would crumble. You would panic and crumble with a lot of this stuff. So it's like all these guys hating on everybody, it's just a lot of insecurity. And that's what I realized too, especially when I was beginning. I was hating on people and I'm like, oh, dude, this is just me being insecure because I knew I couldn't do what they did.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just weird to me that you get hate. That's kind of unbelievable.
I've definitely typed up posts and threads and like thought through how I would, approach making a commentary on some of the stuff that I'm sure you've talked about, and then just been like, no, I don't think I'm gonna touch that. And maybe it's a guts thing, or I don't know. Maybe it's not worth.
I'm definitely too like. I think you just learn as you're doing content. Like there's some stuff that like I used to post where I'm like, I know I'm gonna get so many questions about this, and like I don't want to deal with it.
Right.
Like, there's just like some stuff where it's just like I don't know. It's like, oh, like if I'm like, oh, the prep center is doing so great. They're like, who's your prep center? I know I'm gonna get like 30 DMs. I'm just like, I don't want to tell 30 people that I'm not sharing that. It's just so I'm like, I'm gonna avoid that. Or like, if I do like all the time, like I've been doing some more prepping myself, and I'll be like, oh, like I'm just trying to document because sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to come up with content. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to the UPS store or whatever. People are like, you're so dumb. Like, why wouldn't you have it picked up? It's like,
right. Yeah.
Like, just trying to like document like some stuff here, guys. Like, not words like, or to show that like, yeah, it's okay to not have a prep center and to like do some things yourself and drop it off. Like, that's totally fine. Like, it's your business. Do what you want. But yeah, I just like stuff like that. Like, I just shy away from now because it's like I just don't need that kind of stuff.
I was telling John too that the thing, this is like the real truth about this on another level, is if you're one of these guys that started out like me, like shitting on these people and stuff, like, okay, are you doing it for marketing? Because if you're this guy that doesn't sell anything, then you're not going to make any money by shitting on anybody else. Are you doing it for your ego? Because it's largely you're going to end up getting some hate back from stuff. You're not going to get the connections you want. And another thing is if you're a hater guy and you're like a toxic guy, the audience you build is not going to pay you. So if you want to build an audience that like trusts you and pays you, they're just going to think like, oh, as soon as you do something, you're just a sellout or whatever. So like even the long-term strategy of just putting yourself against everybody else in that way is just not smart, I don't think. I think it's way better to just drop value and be relatively positive so people just trust you more and try to be as authentic as you can. I mean, there's obviously lots there as well, but yeah.
I think that I'm going to start major revenue businesses with like 3 or 4 people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. other than making content and doing crap like this and like networking and not even networking. That's like a buzzword. Like just like sharing a story about how I, whatever, I lost money on or like whatever the content is. Like long term, I think that like thinking in decades, I'm gonna meet a Drew FBA or a John or somebody like that, and we're gonna start a software company, or we'll start,
Yeah, I agree.
or like I think one day it would be cool to start a chain of pawn shops. I've thought a lot about that. Not even close to my time, right now, but one day maybe, maybe someday after you guys solve Bitcoin or whatever, you have a ton of money and you invest in my thing. Like that
Yeah.
stuff matters. So like going online and being somebody other than who I am, I totally agree. Counterproductive. Like just go on and like be you and like really document where you're at and really document, where, one of my biggest regrets in content, I didn't document my bankruptcy and like my major fail in
I
bit like
actually wanted to ask you about that because I did see you post that the other day.
yeah, like I didn't document any, and part of it was I live in a small town and I wasn't really that embarrassed for me, like in some way, like I was embarrassed, but like my wife's family didn't know about it, and so like me making like a YouTube video or some kind, like now it does its thing, years later, who cares, but like um like in the moment, like some of her close family didn't, and so like I didn't want to embarrass her, and didn't, like, and so I wish that if I could go back in time, I would document everything, like every moment during those times, because I mean it was so raw, and like I, I, I I am a different man because of that, those failures from my 20s, and and really, I could even share like some of the stuff that like wasn't my fault. I got cheated out of $85,000. A business that I helped grow. I had I had two contracts. They sold and ran with the money, and it was an insurance company, and they didn't pay out, and I was on the hook for stuff, and it was very, very nasty, and so I wish I documented more during that time. Not for legal reasons or anything. Like I never got that money back, and but like just to have, I think my sons one day are gonna be like, well, what did Cody do during that time? If you look online, it doesn't look like I'm going through, the hellish, landscape of bankruptcy and like all that comes along with that. It doesn't. I'm not faking it either. I just didn't talk about it, and so like sharing your actual journey and like your actual, like like the real stuff. Like that's what people want. People want they.
Yeah.
You said, like earlier, you said like they want, like I think they want to show too. Like they want you to edit some, like they want you to make it presentable, like not like a, like a 4 hour thing of it, but like the real stuff matters.
Yeah, it
I
is
think
the
like
office.
Catch Up David has it. He's like valuetainment. Like it has to be entertaining, but there has to be value there
Yeah,
to
sure.
help people, and like that's the balance you need. It just can't be value. It just can't be. It almost has to be a mixture.
I like that. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've been on here for about an hour and a half. You got anything, Johnny? Close it. Well, yeah, we've asked you like 4 questions. This is just this flew
Yeah.
by. The conversation was just rolling. So it's like I have all these questions over there. I was like, that stuff's not that important.
You also
It's like
have
way more.
a big part too. Let me see the. I'll have 2 more.
Okay.
What's the most you've lost on an ASIN?
Oof, that's rough. I had a Lego set that I bought. That was a high dollar Lego set, and I and so I'm 14 or 15 deep in this ASIN, and then Amazon comes in stock. They're at FBA. Amazon comes in stock and below retail at it, and so that was rough. So I lost thousands of dollars on that one. Another big loss I had this was early on. It was some kind of ventilator or like a humidifier thing or something. It wasn't this big. It was huge. It was like a big heavy thing, and somehow I shipped it out of the country. This was early, and so it was the classic scam. I never received it. And so I ended up refunding the entire amount, and then the next day, they received it, and so I lost the item and lost all of the money. I think that was only like $300 or $400, but it was very painful. That was rough.
Yeah.
We should start doing a lightning round at the end of these. Any questions?
Yeah, we should. I actually got a bunch of.
We just added a new segment, so yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Well, do you listen to any content outside of the Amazon space?
There is a pawn shop channel that I just love watching. It's JMA Pawn or something like that. MJ Pawn, I think is what it is. MJ Pawn on YouTube. And I've learned a ton about content from watching him go from nothing to like now he's got a big channel. But also, I really love that business model, and so like watching the content, every day, like different deals and transactions. I also love watching Harry Tornado eBay channel. So
I've watched some of this stuff. They crush it on what. I'm so intrigued by Whatnot, but I'm like, I don't need another.
Yeah, same here. I'm like not touching it.
There's some like I forgot. I think it's like Kate CEO or something on Instagram. She's like 18. She's like makes millions of dollars selling all sorts of stuff.
On Whatnot?
Yeah, on Whatnot.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've never watched one, but I heard it's pretty crazy. Any parting words for the people?
Yeah, I'll give some parting words. Anybody who's watched this far, if you're not selling on Amazon and you want to, there's no background check, there's no credit check, there's no references needed from your previous boss. Nobody cares if you're a felon. Nobody cares how much money you have. Just get started. Just start building. You're gonna have to figure out a lot of crap, but like I can tell you, it's really, really worth it. And there's no reason to live below the poverty line. You can really build this business. It's really possible. I see people. I'm interacting with people. I did it. These guys are doing it. This is a real thing. We're not full of crap. So go out and do it. If I can help, let me know. I'd be glad to help.
Sweet. Where can people find you?
It's Cody Does Amazon on YouTube and Instagram.
Sweet. Thank you so much for doing this. Guys, go follow Cody, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.